it's. I think now it's from here on in. It's just about finding that balance, really.
It must be wonderful to give you that opportunity to see something like that close up.
Yeah, I was very proud to do that. Yeah,
indeed. We got a brief reminder that with the drums coming through that we are, of course, in Drum Depot.
Yes,
in a drum shop. We should talk a little bit about gear. I think we're in a drum shop. We've got to, and let's start with the electronics because that's something you're particularly known for. You were talking before as well about how important you see it as part of the setup now as well. So if you just take us on a run through and a little bit about some of the stuff you use.
Well, I've always really liked the electronic side of things. I haven't necessarily always done gigs that warranted it. So sometimes my rack and pads and stuff were gathering dust in my locker. Duffy, it was just a 4-piece kit playing songs. But pretty much since Duffy finished, I've been asked to do what is now deemed the hybrid style. But to me, it's just about making sure that I'm covering the right sounds to make sure the songs sound right. Again, music tells you what you can and can't do. So for the last 10 or 11 years, I've been using the Yamaha 900, DTX 900. That's what it is, which is an extraordinary machine. The reason why I started using it was because you can put sounds in. Now, I know that a lot of companies have finally caught up, but Yamaha were really the first, to my knowledge, to make it easy. You put WAVs in, you put it in, and the sound comes out. It's that simple. You can do great things like real-time filtering on it. You can do all kinds of stuff, and it's just very intuitive and very easy to use. And they're pretty much bomb-proof. I've got 2 in my rack. I really have only ever turned on 1. So that's the hub to me of any gig like this. That is the most important thing, the brain, because that's where the recognizable sounds are coming from. So with those, I'm using various pads. For a long time, I was using the Yamaha XP70 pads, which are just their real bog standard pads, nothing fancy, not dual zone mono pads. I was using a KP100. I had this sort of electronic cocktail kit to my side, and the KP100 or 120 was there. I'm using Yamaha acoustic triggers now, which are great, really good. I don't know why they're better because I don't quite understand the technology, but they are fantastic. Again, built like a tank and just not going anywhere. I use pole pads, which are made by a company called Drumtech. Fat pedals, again made by the same company. I've started using on this tour Doors pads because the aesthetic was, if it wasn't around in the 70s, it's not on stage, which meant I had to get rid of the rack. I had to mount things on stands in a very old school way. It's fine. I just had to rethink things. So I just needed stuff that was a bit of a smaller footprint. So the Doors pads are these 6-inch pads. They sit very neatly. I've got 3 to my left, 1 in between my hi-hat and my rack tom. And they're very unobtrusive. I got Dan Doors to do them in a champagne sparkle, so they sit with the kit. It's great. The pole pads, again, they're very unobtrusive. So that's the electronic side of things. In terms of drums, I'm very happy. Actually, happier than I've been in a very long time with what I'm getting back with the Ludwig drums. I realised for a long time I was taking a lot of Ludwig snare drums to rehearsals or sessions or gigs, and I thought, I wonder what the rest of the drums would sound like. So I got in touch with them, they were super cool, and I'm playing on this. I'm playing a Legacy, which is a 3-ply maple shell with a rounded bearing edge. 22, 12, 15. And the 15, I like a 14, I like a 16, but the 15, if I'm only using one floor tom, which I am, it sounds very obvious, it's the perfect in between, because it is. But it actually, I can get a lot of sub and low end from it, but not a lot of the sort of rumble. It's quite responsive.
It's unusual choice.
Yeah. Well, the problem with it, you always have to be prepared drumhead wise, because everyone will have a 14 or everyone will have a 16, but not everyone will have a 15. So yeah, 12, 15, 22. I'm using a 14 by 5 Black Beauty, which is great. That special drum actually, my aforementioned wife, for a present, got it engraved by John Aldridge in the States, so it looks beautiful. Symbol-wise, Istanbul Egop. Been with them for a very long time now. I've been with them since Duffy, really, like just towards the end of Duffy. I love those guys. I love, often companies have a headquarters and they have different people stationed in different parts of the world. And Istanbul Agop are one of those companies that anywhere you go around the world, they're just beautiful people. So the guys at HQ in Turkey are fantastic. BR distribution is up in Durham, are amazing people. Barry and Kevin down there. And Scott Lycan in the States is a very cool guy. He's sort of often the driving force, but with new strands of symbol, So when I joined Agop, it was very much sort of traditional sounding symbols, which is what I wanted. But then I got the Kylie gig, and it's like, well, have you got anything that's maybe a bit brighter, a bit more shimmer? And they just started they were doing the Alchemy range, and they just started the Exist range. The Alchemy range is gone now. The Exists are fantastic. They're just clean, really lovely sounding symbols. And just recently I've been using the Exist Ion Darks, which are very sort of, for these club dates that we were talking about. Yeah. I had discussions with the front of house, and they just wanted symbols that didn't get in the way, because we're on very close stages and a lot of open mics. So I use the Ion Darks for that, and they're great. They're not right for this arena stuff. I need a bit more presence and a bit more volume. But for those small shows, awesome. And Remo drum heads and Vic First sticks, classics.
Just a couple more before you're going on a busy night ahead. But I've got to ask, because you mentioned Duffy there. We had a brief chat earlier, and just the way that you were saying that. Perhaps just the way she exploded, really, I suppose. Yeah. And you were saying perhaps that you may never be sort of part of something so extraordinary, and how quickly it grew again.
There are various reasons for that. I mean, I think, again, talking about experience and currency and all that kind of stuff, I was at a point in my career then where I was getting asked to do, to work with people who haven't put a record out yet, or, are very in the early stages. I think now I'm just not asked, not because I don't want to do it, I'm just not asked to do it. People make certain assumptions about you and what you're doing. So, I probably wouldn't see it for that reason, but also I'm not sure things happen that way anymore. It was an amazing thing to be rehearsing and doing nothing, well, not doing nothing, but, rehearsing and she's not known 1 week, and then 2 months later she's straddling the globe. That was an extraordinary experience, and one that I look back on very fondly, and again set me up to be able to do what I'm doing now. From doing those early support shows that we did, to the TV shows we did. All of that stuff has built, going back to what we were saying about just being able to adapt to any scenario. That was a massive learning curve for me.
I suppose it was a time as well where in music, new artists have the capability to sell a lot of records as well. It's obviously a slightly different landscape.
Very different landscape. I think I try and be positive. I try and be optimistic, because it's always been the music business. So yes, there is art, but there's also been an element of product to it. And I think once people figure out how to once again monetize streaming in this new world order, unfortunately, I think it was Noel Gallagher who said people would rather spend £4 on a coffee than 99p on a song. And I don't think there shouldn't be any shame in saying, I've created this thing, I'd like to be paid for it. What's the difference between someone who made this sofa or this cup or the tea that I'm drinking? We live in a world that demands payment, and I think people see it as a dirty word, but actually, it's how artists survive and how art and culture thrives and moves forward, So yeah, that was a very different time, but hopefully it will come again and people will figure out.
Well, you're thriving at the moment anyway within your drumming career, no doubt. And it sounds like it with the family as well, which is wonderful. Yes. So what's next?
So
can you tell us?
Yeah, well, I finished this tour the end of November, and the next day, I go into rehearsals with Claire Richards from Steps.
Right.
She's got a record out. It's a very, very good record. It's really lovely. She should be very proud of it. And we're doing a couple of weeks around the UK again, sort of underplay vibes, but theatres. Just getting her record out. I think it's out in November, so it's sort of, here it is, presenting it. I'm doing my own project with the keyboard player from Kylie, Christian Galino, who's an extraordinary keyboard player, piano player, musician. It's more in a sort of jazz thing, but I'm very excited about that. Then I have the New Year off, and then we go to these other places. And then that will take me through to sort of the springtime, and then there's lots of things happening that I have to keep my mouth shut because I'll get fired and I won't do it. So yeah.
Well, I don't want to be responsible.
No, absolutely. But yeah, so far it's looking good.
Well, I can't thank you enough for the time you take to come down to the Drum Depot today, Tom, and have a wonderful show tonight.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Pleasure.